At least 16 schools in Virginia are now under investigation for failing to give students their National Merit Scholarship Awards, which are a big deal. They can open a lot of doors academically and get you late at math camp. The Republican governor there called it a maniacal focus on equal outcomes for all students at all costs. You may not like him, but that accusation strikes a lot of people as true. And this is a bad issue for Democrats, because most Americans seem to agree if they're on an airplane, they want a cockpit that looks like America. But they'd also like someone up there who knows how to fly the plane.
Yo, when Bill Maher went off on Hollywood's spoiled Nepo babies, it wasn't just a roast. It was a full-blown TED Talk wrapped in a flamethrower. The man didn't just take a shot. He detonated an entire nuclear bomb aimed at the heart of entitlement, and it hit harder than a freight train. Bill Maher straight up dished out truths that were long overdue, exposing Hollywood, schools, politics, corporate America, and basically every institution where inherited privilege has slowly become the norm. His monologue wasn't a rant. It was a wake-up call to a culture that's been running on mediocrity for too long, and he made it clear, excellence has been kicked to the curb.
Or it didn't matter that much who your parents were, or it just got my foot in the door. This is show business. Getting your foot in the door is 80% of it. Yes. Yes, there are difficult roles that require acting only the great ones can do, but most acting, please, Vin Diesel can do it. Bodybuilders can do it. Children can do it. Steven Seagal can do it. I did it.
Maher's opening salvo was aimed at a story about schools in Virginia hiding National Merit Awards from kids. You heard that right. The kids earned these awards, but the schools decided it would be too hurtful to hand them out. Maher's response? So we're punishing excellence now? And that line? It might as well have been a punch to the gut of an entire generation. Because when you think about it, that's the heart of the issue. Success in America is increasingly treated as something that needs to be watered down, diluted, or hidden to avoid bruising anyone's fragile feelings. According to Maar, we've become a country that rewards mediocrity in the name of inclusivity. And that's not just damaging, it's downright dangerous. And then, boom! Maar shifted gears. He pivoted to the Hollywood Nepo babies, the poster children for inherited success, and roasted them like a seasoned chef over an open flame.
To all the people who've been telling me, Bill, you have to do something on Nepo babies. Shut up, I don't have to. But okay, here it is. And if you haven't heard the term yet, here's a brief montage of all the Nepo babies in the acting profession, beginning with Douglas Fairbanks Jr. That's right, their moms and dads were all stars too. It doesn't make them bad people or untalented. In fact, some Nepo babies did very well in their first big roles. But let's also admit that they weren't the only ones who could have done it. But when it's between a few good people and one of them is going to get you this kind of publicity, who do you think is going to get the part? So enjoy the good life, Nepos. Just don't say you didn't have a huge advantage.
These star kids often try to act like they worked their way up, but as Maar put it, you didn't climb, you spawned on top of the mountain. The Nepo babies act like their success is some kind of merit-based triumph. But let's be real, most of them were born with a golden ticket to the top. Maar hilariously pointed out how many of these struggling artists are just one phone call away from landing a Netflix role thanks to their family connections. He wasn't having it. He even threw a little shade at how easy acting is these days, comparing it to the acting skills of Vin Diesel, children, and even Steven Seagal. That line, it's a bombshell.
Even modeling, which used to require the integrity to find a freakishly perfect 14-year-old in a small Slovenian village, has fallen to Nepo.
Maar wasn't just taking jabs at the Hollywood elite. He was calling out the way the entire system props up people who have never actually had to struggle to make it in the industry. The real kicker? These same Nepo babies are out here playing the victim card, whining about how hard their lives are as celebrity kids. Maar couldn't help but roast them for that, sarcastically remarking,
Instead of getting the kids who lag behind up to the higher standards, schools all over are eliminating honors classes. 80% of four-year colleges no longer require any standardized test for admissions. San Francisco's top-rated Lowell High School replaced merit-based admissions with a lottery in 2021, and the result was a threefold increase in D's and F's. Turns out getting rid of merit admissions just made kids feel worse about themselves, and that's what Instagram is.
Yeah, it must be so tough driving your G-Wagon to acting class. The hypocrisy is off the charts. You're telling me that the kids of famous actors, musicians, or even producers are somehow oppressed by their privilege? The reality is, these kids didn't just walk into the audition room, they owned it before they even showed up. Their success isn't about talent or hard work, it's about who you know. And these kids have the ultimate access to the doors that the rest of us will never even see. Maar didn't stop at Hollywood, though. He zoomed out and made a much broader critique of America's culture of inherited power and privilege. He dropped a nuclear bomb when he called out political dynasties, especially Gavin Newsom, whose godfather is a billionaire and whose aunt by marriage is Nancy Pelosi.
Reality TV is acting like you didn't know that glass of wine was going to get thrown in your face. This is one reason why, of the top-rated telecasts on television, sports last year accounted for 94 of the top 100, because it is the last refuge of meritocracy in America. Show business is full of Nepo babies, politics is full of Nepo babies.
Maar wasn't having the whole self-made narrative. He called it what it is. Newsom's rise to power wasn't due to his grit or hustle. It was the result of family connections. Maar wasn't just roasting Newsom, though. He was calling out the entire American political system, which has turned into a family business. He laid out how political dynasties like the Bushes, Clintons, and Kennedys have passed down power like it's an inheritance instead of earning it the hard way. That line, "We've turned democracy into a family business," hit harder than a Jake Paul punch. And it made you realize just how entrenched nepotism is in every corner of American life. And here's where Maar dropped the mic. He argued that sports is the last refuge of meritocracy. It's the one place where you can't fake it, where your last name doesn't get you a free pass. You either perform or you don't. And Maar made a hilarious but absolutely true comparison by saying, "I don't trust government or banks, but I trust the NBA." He's got a point. In sports, the only thing that matters is the ability to perform. You don't get into the NBA because your dad was a famous player. You get in because you've got the skills. He used Layla Ali and Bronny James as prime examples. They're not winning or making it on their own merit because of their last names. They have to grind to earn their spot. Maar went further, even saying sports have better race relations than real life. Where else do you see a grown man, regardless of his background, crying over his white teammates' success? That's not identity politics. That's pure respect for talent and achievement. It's a level of fairness and equality that seems increasingly rare outside of sports. But Maar didn't stop there. He circled back to the education system, which he argued has been completely infected by the same toxic culture of mediocrity. He highlighted San Francisco's top school, which replaced merit-based admissions with a lottery system. The result? Academic performance tanked. D's and F's tripled. Meanwhile, 80% of colleges no longer require standardized tests. Schools are scrapping honors classes because they hurt feelings. Maher's response was sharp. Feelings don't get you into med school. He was talking about the hollowing out of standards and accountability in favor of trying to avoid hurting anyone's precious self-esteem. But the reality is, success and achievement don't care about feelings. You don't get to skip the hard work and struggle just because it makes someone uncomfortable. Excellence doesn't have a participation trophy. Maher's overarching message couldn't be clearer. You can't build a society that celebrates mediocrity and then act surprised when excellence disappears. He's right. America used to be a place where hard work, innovation, and results were celebrated. But now, we're living in a world where excuses are more valuable than achievement, where feelings are prioritized over skills. Maar pointed out that when we stop rewarding effort and results, we start rewarding optics and identity. And that's where competence goes to die. He summed it up perfectly with a brutal yet necessary example. Sure, you want a cockpit that looks like America, But you also want someone who knows how to fly the plane. Representation means nothing if the system collapses because no one can do the job. Maar wasn't being political here, he was being real. He roasted both sides of the aisle, from DEI hires to legacy admissions, all while driving home the point that we need to stop pretending that identity equals ability. It doesn't. And then, just when you think he's done roasting, Maar ended his monologue with a note of optimism. He pointed out that Americans are starting to wake up to this mess, tired of seeing mediocrity praised and merit punished. We're starting to realize that excellence is not elitist, and it's time to bring it back to every corner of society. Schools, jobs, politics, and yes, Hollywood. The future isn't going to belong to people who inherited power, it's going to belong to those who earned it. Because when you reward results, you build greatness. When you reward excuses, you build collapse. Maar wrapped up his monologue by reaffirming that sports, that pure, unfiltered meritocracy, might just be the last honest arena. In sports, it's not about PR stunts, family favors, or identity politics. It's about grind, talent, and heart. And maybe, just maybe, that's what America used to be. A place where success was earned, not inherited. So yeah, Maar roasted the Nepo babies. But in doing so, he exposed a much bigger issue. He exposed how America has swapped merit for marketing, grind for genetics, and achievement for aesthetics. And if we don't wake up to that reality, we risk losing the very foundation of what made this country great in the first place. Excellence, after all, isn't just about achieving for yourself. It's about building something that lasts. And if we stop rewarding it, nothing else matters.